Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé latest news. Gino Palazzolo, a star of 90 Day Fiancé, has been hospitalized after being diagnosed with cancer out of the blue. Fans have shown a lot of support after the story went viral on social media. Gino Palazzolo was never meant to be a star on reality TV. When he initially showed up on 90 Day Fiancé, before the 90 days, people were drawn to his awkward charm, his obsessive love for his baseball cap, and his honest search for love. He didn't show off. He wasn't over the top. In a lot of respects, he was the opposite of the usual suspects in the genre. But Gino will always be remembered. His relationship with Jasmine Pineda was like a roller coaster. It was unstable, passionate, and frequently hard to watch. Gino was a quiet, strong person through it all. He took in the pandemonium, didn't often lash out, and always seemed to want something better. But that hope has been put to the test in ways that no one could have seen coming. It began with tiredness. Gino's close friends said he had been feeling off for approximately a week. He said he had constant headaches, bodily aches, and a general feeling of being unwell. He said it was stress, which makes sense because of the turmoil with Jasmine that was still going on and the public attention that followed their breakup. But the symptoms got worse. He started to lose his appetite. He started to have trouble sleeping. He felt dizzy while doing everyday things. Friends told him to go to the doctor, and he eventually went 2 days ago. After that, there were a lot of testing, such blood tests, scans, and a biopsy. It didn't take long for the diagnosis to come back: cancer. The type hasn't been made public yet, but sources say it was serious enough to require hospitalization right away. That following day, Gino was admitted. Gino has been in the hospital for 2 days now. He is getting treatment and being looked at again. Doctors have said that he needs long-term care and rigorous following of medical rules. The outlook is cautiously hopeful, but the path ahead is steep. Gino hasn't said anything inside the hospital. He hasn't been posting on social media. He isn't doing any interviews. He is just trying to deal with how big what transpired is. Nurses say he is courteous but keeps to himself. He wears his hat to bed, which is a small way for him to feel in control of something that has taken so much from him. A fan account on Instagram released an update about the news, saying it came from unnamed sources. The post quickly became popular. There were a lot of comments, including prayers, well wishes, and expressions of love. One fan responded, "Stay strong, Gino." Another person remarked, "You can do this." People shared the post on Reddit, Facebook, and TikTok. The fans got together. Soon, trustworthy news sources corroborated the tale. It was true that Gino was in the hospital. His diagnosis was bad. The fans' response was huge. People started using hashtags like #PrayForGino and #GinoStrong. Fans set up virtual vigils. Some people even started raising money, even though Gino hasn't asked for any. It is impossible to talk about Gino's current situation without mentioning Jasmine Pineda's part in it. One of the most talked about storylines in 90 Day Fiancé history was their connection. It was full of passion, violence, and sadness in the end. After they broke up, there were claims that Jasmine had stolen money from Gino. People said she got into his accounts without permission and spent the money for her own needs. She also publicly slandered him, saying he was dominating and manipulative. Gino, on the other hand, mostly kept quiet. That betrayal has taken a huge emotional toll. Friends said Gino was devastated by the claims. He was embarrassed, not just because he lost money, but also because everyone saw it. They think that the stress made his health worse. Gino's stay in the hospital has brought to light a sad truth. He is fighting this war by alone. He is not with Jasmine. There haven't been any reports of family visits. In many respects, he is alone, but he stays strong. This loneliness isn't new. Gino has always kept to himself. He kept a lot of his life secret, even while the show was going on. He didn't often raise his voice. He didn't cry very often. He just put up with it. Now that strength is being challenged in the worst way possible. The fans of 90 Day Fiancé are one of a kind. It cares a lot about the lives of its stars and has strong opinions about them. Most people have been very supportive of Gino's response. Fans consider him as a figure of quiet strength since he never gave up, even when things were hard for him. There has been a lot of affection. Fans have told their own stories of beating cancer. They've put up messages of hope. They've made films, artwork, and homage postings. Gino has become a symbol of strength, despite all of his problems. Cancer is not just a fight with your body, it's also a fight with your mind. The diagnosis has made Gino face the truth. With his body, with his history, with the choices that brought him here. Jasmine's betrayal, the close look at fame, the solitude of sickness. Everything is coming together. People think Gino is having a hard time dealing with it all. He isn't saying much. He isn't using media. He is only trying to stay alive. And in that quiet, there is a sense of dignity. Not doing what was asked. A promise to get better. The baseball hat is still there. Gino is said to have urged nurses at the hospital to let him wear it. It's not just a style decision, it's a shield. A sign of control in a world that has gone crazy. For years, fans have wondered what the cap is for. Why does he have it on? What does it mean? At this point, the solution is clear. It's his armor. Who he is. His peace of mind. And although he fights cancer, it's the one thing he won't give up. There are a lot of questions that still need to be answered. What kind of cancer does Gino have? What stage is it? What kind of care is he getting? Will he take Jasmine to court? Will he talk to the public? Those questions are still unresolved for now. Gino is only thinking about staying alive. The rest can wait. But the fans keep guessing, analyzing, and hoping. They want to know. They want to see justice. They desire to get better. Gino's narrative is more than just a sad story about himself. It's a cultural moment. It shows how emotionally draining reality TV can be. The risks of being watched by the public. The difficulties of love and betrayal. And the strength of the human spirit. His diagnosis has started talks about mental health, emotional abuse, and how important it is to have support systems. Fans are thinking about their own life, relationships, and struggles. Gino has become a mirror because of his pain. This chapter doesn't end with a solution, but with an acknowledgement. Gino Palazzolo is more than simply a star on reality TV. He is in trouble, a man who was betrayed, a man who is liked. As people around the world watch, pray, and publish, one thing is clear. The fight under the hat is worth seeing. In just one afternoon, Gino Palazzolo's life changed forever. The man who had bungled through long-distance love on national television and became a meme for how much he loved his baseball cap was now in a hospital bed, facing a diagnosis that would change everything. Cancer. The word rang through the sterile halls of the Michigan hospital where he had been admitted only 2 days before. Fans thought it was a word that didn't fit in the life of a reality TV star. But Gino's narrative was never simply about TV. It was about being open and honest, about a man who desired love and stability, but instead discovered chaos. And now, as he starts a long and uncertain medical journey, the parts of his public and private life are coming together in ways that are both sad and very real. The indicators had been there. Gino had been feeling sick for about a week, with headaches, tiredness, and a constant aching in his joints. He thought it was because of stress, which wasn't a bad guess. His romance with Jasmine Pineda had left him emotionally vulnerable. The accusations of financial betrayal, the public shame, and the constant speculation were enough to drag anyone down. But Gino, who was always stoic, kept going, until his body told him he couldn't. People who were close to Gino said he didn't want to go to the doctor. He didn't want to cause a scene. He didn't want others to think he was weak. But when the symptoms got worse, when he started losing weight, couldn't sleep, and even standing up became hard, he finally went to the doctor. The tests were quick and made me feel bad. He was told he had cancer within hours. The type hasn't been made public, but sources say it's bad enough that the person needs long-term care. Before Gino could even think about it, the news spread on social media. A fan account tweeted a mysterious statement concerning his hospitalization, and the internet went crazy within minutes. There were a lot of responses on Instagram, including prayers, emoticons, and poignant remarks from followers who had been following his journey since the beginning. Reddit posts broke down the timeline. People who make TikTok videos paid tribute. The fans, who often disagreed over his love life, all agreed on one thing. They were worried. Soon, trustworthy sources corroborated the report. Gino really did go to the hospital. He was being tested. Doctors were cautiously hopeful, but they stressed how important it was to follow treatment guidelines exactly. The prognosis wasn't hopeless, but it was bad. And Gino, as usual, didn't say anything. People say he is helpful but quiet within the hospital. He doesn't say much. He doesn't ask for anything. He wears his hat to bed, which is a small act of defiance and a sign of power in a situation that has taken so much from him. Nurses claim he's nice and friendly, but he feels heavy, a man who has been through too much and kept silent about it. His condition has taken an emotional toll on him, and the trauma from his relationship with Jasmine hasn't gone away. One of the most dramatic love stories in 90-Day Fiancé history was theirs. Yes, it was intense, but it was also full of envy, manipulation, and fights that blew up. Jasmine accused Gino of being controlling. Gino said that Jasmine was unstable. And when the relationship ended, it wasn't simply a breakup, it was a public breakdown. People said that Jasmine stole money from Gino while they were dating. She was charged with accessing his accounts without permission, using the money for personal needs, and then publicly slandering him. The betrayal wasn't only about money, it was also personal. Gino, who had trusted her with everything, was left feeling ashamed. Friends believe he never got over that betrayal. He started to pull away more. He stopped going out. He stopped talking to fans. The man who had worked so hard to make love work had closed himself off. And now that he has been told he has cancer, that feeling of being alone is much stronger. Jasmine has not spoken anything about Gino's health in public. People are guessing because she hasn't said anything. Some admirers think she's avoiding the subject because she feels bad. Some others think she's just moved on. But you can feel her absence. Gino is battling this struggle by himself. No one from the family has been to the hospital. No one close to them has posted any updates. It's just him, the physicians, and the peaceful sound of equipment. But the fans won't let him feel alone. Across platforms, hashtags like #GinoStrong and #PrayForGino have become popular. Fans have set up online vigils, shared their own stories of beating cancer, and even began donating money, even though Gino hasn't asked for money. The outpouring isn't just about famous people, it's about making connections. Despite all of Gino's idiosyncrasies, he stands for something that everyone can relate to. A man who tried, a man who didn't succeed, a man who kept on going. This moment has made the baseball cap a symbol. Fans have shared pictures of themselves donning caps to show their support. They made art that shows off Gino's signature style. They've written essays about what the cap means to them, such strength, weakness, and who they are. For Gino, it's not just a style choice. It's body armor. And while he's in the hospital, it's the one thing he won't let go of. There are a lot of questions that haven't been answered. What kind of cancer does Gino have? What stage is it? What kind of care is he getting? Will he talk to the public? Will he take Jasmine to court? As of today, those queries don't have answers. Gino is only thinking about staying alive. The rest can wait. But there is no denying that his story had an effect on culture. It has gotten people talking about how reality TV can be bad for your mental health, how being in the public eye can be dangerous, and how love and betrayal can be complicated. Fans are thinking about their own problems, relationships, and traumas. Gino has become a mirror because of his pain. His lack of words is strong. Gino has decided to be still in a world that needs constant updates and involvement. He's not doing well. He isn't giving an explanation. He's just trying to get better. And there is a kind of nobility in that choosing. An unwillingness to let the machine that made him famous take over his life. This chapter in Gino Palazzolo's life is not about finding a solution. It has to do with reckoning, with his health, with his history, with the choices that brought him here. Jasmine's betrayal, the close look at fame, the solitude of sickness. Everything is coming together. But there is still hope. Doctors say that the outlook is not all bad. It is possible to become better with the right treatment, discipline, and patience. But the journey will be long. And Gino, who is always a silent warrior, will take it one step at a time. The fans will be watching, not with judgment, but with kindness. They will put on their caps. They will put their prayers up. They will make room for a man who has done so much for them just by being himself. The hospital room was quiet save for the steady buzz of machines and the sound of nurses' shoes shuffling on the smooth linoleum floor. Gino Palazzolo remained quiet, his body weak after the diagnosis that had changed everything for him. Cancer. The word came like a thunderclap, abrupt and cruel, taking away the remaining bits of normalcy he had held on to. This was a fight unlike any other for a man who had spent years on reality TV dealing with emotional landmines. It was private, terrible, and very genuine. It had only been 2 days since the diagnosis, yet time was already starting to change. The hours passed in a whirl of tests for drips and quiet talks between doctors and nurses. Gino, who was always quiet, didn't say much. He nodded when others talked to him, answered inquiries with short syllables, and kept his baseball cap on tight. It was the one thing that stayed the same in a world that had changed so much. The news traveled quickly outside the hospital. A single Instagram post had set off a maelstrom of worry, suspicion, and support. Fans who had watched Gino go from awkward first dates to violent fights with Jasmine Pineda were now supporting him. There were a lot of prayers, emoticons, and emotional remarks in the comments. One fan wrote, "You are stronger than you think." Another person said, "We're with you every step." The fans, who often disagreed and fought, had come together through kindness. But Gino was alone in the hospital. No one from the family had come by. There were no updates from close friends. The woman whose name would always be linked to his, Jasmine, stayed quiet. It was very quiet without her. Her silence now felt like the last betrayal, even if she had caused a lot of trouble throughout his life. Their relationship experienced the most ups and downs of any in 90 Day Fiancé history. It was full of passion, but it was also very bad for you. Jasmine's fiery personality and Gino's quiet personality didn't mix well, which made for a situation that was both interesting and awkward. Viewers saw love turn into control and affection turn into anger. And when it was over, it wasn't simply a breakup, it was a public explosion. The accusations that came after were very bad. People said that Jasmine stole money from Gino, got into his accounts without permission, and utilized the money for her own pleasure. She had also publicly slandered him, saying he was controlling and cruel in a way that hurt her feelings. Gino, on the other hand, mostly stayed quiet. He didn't fight back. He didn't stand up for himself. He just backed off. Friends claim it was quite hard on their emotions. Gino started to stay away from people. He stopped going to events. He stopped talking to fans. The man who had once fought so hard to make a life with Jasmine had shut himself off from the world. And now that he had been diagnosed with cancer, he felt even more alone. The workers at the hospital noticed that he was quiet. He didn't say anything. He didn't want to be treated differently. He just put up with it. A nurse who wanted to stay nameless claimed he was gentle but haunted. She said he didn't make eye contact very much and looked to be carrying a burden much heavier than his sickness. She said, "It's like he's sad about something. Not just his health, but something deeper." You could see his anguish in how he walked, how he talked, and how he held on to his cap like it was a lifeline. People have been curious about and made fun of the headgear for years. Fans wondered why he wore it so much. Some people assumed it was a lack of confidence. Some others thought it was a choice about branding. But today, in the clean light of a hospital room, it was plain what it meant. It was a shield. It was who you were. It was a comfort. The fans did the same thing. There were a lot of pictures on social media of people donning baseball caps to show their support. Artists made digital pictures of Gino with a cap on and surrounded by symbols of strength and healing. TikTok users made montages of his most vulnerable moments and paired them to uplifting music. Instead of criticism, Reddit posts talked about his journey with empathy. For once, the internet wasn't making fun of something. It was sad. But the question stayed. What kind of cancer did Gino have? What stage was it? What kind of care was he getting? Would he talk to people in public? Would he take Jasmine to court? The fact that his camp didn't say anything simply made people more curious. But maybe all he could give was silence. Maybe silence was his last attempt of self-preservation in a world that had taken so much from him. His time, his feelings, and his dignity. Fans understood how complicated Gino's feelings were. Many people regarded him as a reflection of their own challenges, like dealing with illness, loss, and betrayal. His story had gone beyond reality TV. It had turned into a story of courage, survival, and the quiet strength that others often miss. Gino had become a symbol because of his pain. People who work for mental health started using his tale as an example in talks about trauma recovery and emotional abuse. Cancer support groups used his condition as a reminder of how important it is to find cancer early and take care of yourself. Even news agencies that had made fun of his eccentricities were now writing about his journey with compassion. It was clear that the culture had changed. But none of that mattered to Gino. He wasn't reading the articles. He wasn't looking at the videos that paid tribute. He was just trying to stay alive. The treatment plan was really hard. The side effects were terrible. And the emotional toll never stopped. Not only was his body tested every day, but so did his spirit. He spent hours looking out the hospital window and seeing the world go on without him. He thought about the life he had tried to make, about the affection he had sought to grow, about the betrayal that had ruined everything. He thought about Jasmine, but not with rage, only with sadness. She was the woman of his dreams. And then he fell. There were times when he was clear-headed and times when he let himself feel. When a nurse changed his for, he cried once, but it was silent. When a fan letter came to his chamber, he whispered thank you. When a child in the corridor waved at him, he grinned a little. These times didn't last long, but they were important. They reminded him that he was still a person and could still connect with others. The workers at the hospital started to support him. They gave him books. In his room, they played quiet music. They told him to eat, walk, and converse. He started to answer slowly. Not with words, but simply being there. He got up more regularly. He looked him in the eye. When you talked to him, he nodded. It was progress, not a lot, but it was important. The fans stayed outside and watched. In Gino's name, fans held fundraisers not to pay for medical expenditures, but to help cancer research. They made hashtags to get the word out. They created essays about how reality TV makes people feel bad. They wanted networks that had made money off of his agony to be held responsible. The story of Gino had become a movement. But the unsolved tension with Jasmine was still there. People thought her quiet meant she was guilty, indifferent, or scared. Some supporters thought she should say sorry. Some people thought she should be punished by the law. But Gino, who was always quiet, didn't ask for anything. He didn't want to get back at him. He didn't want to end things. He just kept going. The movement ahead was sluggish yet constant. Every day brought new problems, pains, and anxieties. But it also gave me fresh strength. Gino started writing in a journal. He started to ask inquiries about how he was being treated. He started talking to nurses. He even let someone take a picture, but only one for medical purposes. But that was a step. The headgear stayed. It was never taken off, not even for scans. The doctors made room for him since they knew how important it was. It wasn't just fabric, it was who they were. And although Gino struggled for his life, he wouldn't give up on it. This part of Gino Palazzolo's life is not about finding a solution. It's about being strong. It's about the quiet strength of a man who has gone through more than most, been betrayed, insulted, and misunderstood, and is now fighting the biggest war of them. It's about the fans who wouldn't let him battle by himself. It's about the nurses who observed him in distress and opted to help him. It's about the hat that became a sign of life. Gino might never be on TV again. He might never talk about Jasmine in public. He might never answer the questions that are still there. But he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to say anything. His presence is enough, even while he's in pain. This gossip is over. If you liked the video, then give your opinion in the comment box and stay with us by subscribing the channel. Thank you.